You know what? My channel's starting to gain traction. I think I should start showing my face. I just made a huge mistake. A lot of you seem to really like this puzzle, so I guess I'll just do a tutorial on it. So here's how the tutorial is gonna go. Once we scramble it, we're gonna solve 2 of the corners. We're gonna solve the last 2 corners. Then we're gonna fix the edges. Let's try that again. And then finally we're gonna solve it like the Skewb. And that's how it's gonna look. So let's just get into the scramble. Alright, so now that we have it scrambled, there are 2 algorithms that I wanna bring to your attention. And so I'll execute it on the regular Skewb right here. So it looks like down, down, up, up, a sledgehammer on this side, the same sledgehammer but twice on this side, and then finally one more sledgehammer like this, whoops, like that. And so from this perspective, it doesn't look like we did anything, but in fact, if we held it like this on the front, then it rotated the two centers on this side. I'll show you with the GAN logo at the top. So as you can see, this has the GAN logo facing down towards the blue, but now if I execute that sequence of moves again, now when we look at the blue, the GAN logo is now facing away from us. Next, what I'll do, I'll put the GAN logo in the back and I'll execute the move again. So before, GAN was looking at the green, and now when we turn back around, GAN is looking at the blue. So this is really useful for when we solve this. It's really helpful to see the Skewb as this thing right here, where this is one of the centers. These 3 make up one center on our regular Skewb. And so if we perform that move, keep an eye on this red, white, and this yellow, green. If I perform that right now, now it's white, red, and green, yellow. And that's incredibly useful for when we decide to solve this in the later stages. First thing we need to do, we have to do something very similar to when we solved the 5-layer Jing Pyraminx. And this is because these puzzles are isomorphic, or mechanically equivalent, it doesn't matter. And so when we approach the 5-layer Jing Pyraminx, we have to solve the center bits first. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna treat these guys as the center of our Jing Pyraminx. What I like to do is I like to just pick any arbitrary corner, it doesn't really matter. Let's choose this one just because it has a red one attached to it. If you do not have any like square pieces attached to the corner that match up, just look for one. So in my case, let's look for an orange one. So I have to look for an orange one on opposite corners. So if I'm looking at a corner like this, I can only look at corners that are opposite on the faces relative to it. So it would be this one, and this one. So let's look for an orange one, and I found one, so I'll move it over. And now we have that one. Now what I want to do, I want to find an orange and green, as well as a green. So there's orange and green, but I want to attach it to another green one. Well, I see there's a green one over here, and if I rotate this green like this, and I rotate this green like that, and let's rotate this up here. Now, if I rotate this orange green, now it's paired up like this. So now, when I bring this down, I can bring this over to this side. And now we have our little, we have our little upper triangle over here. And this would be really helpful if you saw the how to solve the 5-layer Jing Pyraminx in the last video. So I'll put it here in the top right. So now what we have to do, we have to solve this little sliver down here, right? This 3 in a row. And it would be in our best interest to have all 3 before we put it in. So let's put this on the bottom, and now we just have to look for on these corners. So I need a green yellow and a yellow orange, which are attached by a yellow. So I see the yellow orange here, so let's just give it a yellow to attach to. I'll move this here, and I see this yellow. Now I need a green and yellow. There's this one, and you usually want to have so if we look at the median slice like this, we want the color that we're matching, so in this case yellow, to be touching that median slice. So that way when we move it over, it would pair up. Such as here, we have the yellow touching that middle slice, and now we can move it back. Now all three are in the right place. Now let's look at the bottom part, and that doesn't line up. So instead we got to turn it first, and now we get to line it up. And now we just did our first corner. So now let's just choose another one to do. And we cannot choose ones that are right next to it. We have to choose ones that are opposite on it from this face. So we can only choose these three. You know, I'll choose this one just because it already has a piece attached to it. And so now I'm looking for a yellow and red to go here. I see yellow, red here, but I need to attach a red to it. So I want red to be attached to that median slice. Well, both of the red ones are here, so I can move this to a corner that we're not working on. Move this up and move this back. And now I can move this over and move this here. And now those things are paired up. And now we have our little upper triangle here as well. Let's get the blue, red, and yellow slice here. So I see blue and yellow, and I see blue and red. Well, I noticed that if I take this blue and yellow and I move it here, look at that. Those are paired up nicely. And if I move this up, well, that's also paired really nicely. Look at that. Now we have all three in a row like that. Now this is where it gets hard. We're not going to focus on these little square pieces anymore. We're just going to focus on the edges relative to the corner. So let's just try to get one corner in place. And we have to be careful because every time we move, we also have to undo that move. And between these corners, if I move to the right, I'll have to turn the right face or the right corner. And if I move to the left, I'll have to turn the left corner. Yeah, this is probably the harder part. So what I notice is that this orange and white has to go here relative to this orange and white piece. So I'll move this out of the way. I'll rotate the orange and white piece. And then when I bring it back, now they're lined up. And now I want to move this to the top. And now we're going to only focus on rotating this one. So I need the orange, blue, and white and orange. And now we have the orange and blue in the incorrect spot. And so this just requires some clever manipulation. Where if I bring this up, now those are paired up. And so we want to look at this in terms of pairs. If you want some reference, I suggest you look at the 5-layer Jing pyraminx in the other corner where I go over the last two centers. Once we have one edge in the right place, we can bring this edge to match up with this edge. And now when we bring this down, we can move this across. So now that we have one corner solved, we have to look at the edges relative to the other corner. And so if this needs to come here, this red and green needs to come here, this red and white needs to come here, and this white and green needs to come here, this is a counterclockwise rotation. And so this is the algorithm you'll need to follow. By the way, for reference, these two layers over here that cut through this will be your right layer. So these two, and then this will be your up layer. I'll put it up here on the top of the screen. And now we have it solved. And if you need to rotate it clockwise, this is the algorithm you'll need to do. Damn it. And if you need to rotate it clockwise, this is what you'll need. Clockwise, this is what you'll need to do. So and now all of those corners are solved. Hey, so we are 10 minutes into the video, so I think this is a good time to tell y'all to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, make sure to like the video, comment, engage with it at least. I just need like that, I want to be really, really famous and probably take over the world someday. Also, some of you may be wondering why I just didn't do the original algorithm but in reverse, so I'll put the reason at the top of the screen, so hopefully that clarifies it for some of y'all. Thanks for listening. Alright, back to the video. So the hard part is out of the way, and now all we have to do is just find a way to get these squares into the right place. And we'll do that algorithm we did on the Skewb, the quadruple sledgehammer. Now, unfortunately, there really is no good algorithmic way to go about choosing which corners to rotate, but essentially, these will be rotated, and we'll just be rotating these corners mostly, and we'll have to choose how to swap pairs of squares. So let's try to get as many as we can for free. So I see that these two greens, if they swap, nothing's going to change. By the way, we're going to be swapping these guys right here, right? So we're not going to be going along this axis because that's not really going to do anything. So we just need this corner, that corner, and that corner. So the best way to go about this is just choosing which ones that won't be affected when flipped. So if these two greens swap, there's nothing that'll really change this corner. And so now we have to choose, okay, which ones can we rotate up here that would fix this white into place. And so I see that if this white goes here and this blue goes here, this part will be solved and this will be unaffected. So I'm gonna perform that little quadruple sledgehammer thing. That's that one solved, and that's not been affected. So now I see this blue. If it were to come over here, this would solve that part, and then this would also be solved. Or this would be unaffected. So let's try that. So let's swap these guys. Oh, thank God, I nearly messed that up. Okay, let's try that again. So I want to swap these guys and these guys. So yeah, you always got to be really careful with this. All right, now we just need these to swap, and if I swap these, that'll also leave everything unaffected. Now look at that, we have this corner solved, and was it this corner? I don't know. Yeah, it was. So all we have to do is swap these two. And now I think the best way to go about swapping these two is first trying to just correct these corners. So in other words, we're gonna solve it like the big tips on the pyraminx. So I see this yellow and this yellow, so they must be on the same side. I see this green and this green, so they must be on the same side. And I see this orange goes here, this blue goes here, this white goes here. So if I give that a turn, now we have most of the sides solved. So if we look at this corner, we got to look at another corner or a pair of corners that are not going to be fixed. So in other words, let's look at these two, and there's this line connecting them. So if this line swaps, that will leave everything unaffected. So if we swap those back here and we only do swaps like this, then we should be totally fine. So first, let's swap these two and these oranges. Now, this green and this white, if we pair them up here, then once we swap them and we swap these guys, we'll be good. now those are swapped, and those have been unswapped. And now we have all of our centers done, and so we just have to do the edges. And this is actually probably the most fun part of this puzzle. So the little centers, they're also edges over here. We got to pair these three up to be these three, and that's not actually super hard. So what I like to do is I like to hold 3 of these little centers so they're pointing downwards, and then I'll have one ring up at the top. Sort of like the ice cream cone I showed you in the last video. And then of course we're allowed to rotate these freely as much as we want, but once we make a median turn, such that we pair up these edges, we'll always have to undo it. I see that there's this red, and if I move this red into here, then once I pair those red ones up, now we have a whole bar of red, and I'll just put in another set of pieces arbitrarily. Oh, that's cool. It fixed up that. So I see this red, and I'll be careful not to mess that up. Now I see this pair of green and this green over here. Now I'll try to move this up, move the incorrect edge into its place, and move this back down. Now when I turn it back, yeah, so now I have those two. And I see if I rotate this, I'll have this yellow, but this one would be this one's not in the right space, but that's fine. We can do this. We can do a little upside down flippy thing. Trademark. Now that yellow is in the right place, and so when we move this back, we have another yellow edge paired up. So now that we have all of our few correct pieces, let's try to get a few more. So I see this blue is on the top. So if I rotate this, I'll rotate this here. Now we have an incorrect edge on the top. So I can move this blue over here. I can move this up, move this across, move this back down, and then move this away. Whoops. Uh-oh. Move that away. Alright, so it looks like we have most of our pieces, but we have a 2 swap here. And we could do the 2 swap like before, but there's a lot of room for error in there. Instead, we could just do something like this. So first, let's have it so that the same color tips are touching. Then what we want to do, we want to move this orange center to touch that one. Now we flip this upside down. So we bring it to the top, move it over. Now we can move this back. And yeah, it's now we have these centers, this, and this is literally just a Skewb. Now just solve the Skewb as you normally do. Maybe I'll make this a Skewb tutorial as well. First, I see the white center. This is a very oblong center, but it still works. And now I have to look for corners to attach to it. So if I see a corner in top here, I'll move it down. And yeah, are there any more corners? There's this corner. And if I bring this one down, that'll match up. Now I see that these corners are in the right spot, but in the wrong orientation. So I'll move this to the top layer. I will rotate this. I'll bring this back down. And I'll undo that first rotation. And now I have this in the wrong spot, so I'll move this up, rotate it, bring it back down, and then bring that back down. And now we have our first Skewb layer solved. Now if we have headlights on the side here, and we have this here and this here, right, a corner facing us, corner facing away, and we'll do down, down, up, up. So that fixes those corners. And now to cycle 3 edges, we want to have the edge that needs to go on the opposite side in front of us. Down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up. Yes, we solved it. Confetti everywhere. Honestly, this is probably like a very hard puzzle, especially for new cubers. So I suggest anyone who has the budget, try to get one of these. It's incredibly fun and very, I guess, very educational in the puzzle solving sense. Yeah, thanks for watching. Whoops. I totally forgot to do a time solve. So yeah, I guess we should give this a scramble first. Yeah, that was not sneaky at all. But yeah, let's just get the timer in the top left. And let's also make sure, yeah, it works. So, yeah, what do I see? 3, 2, 1. Nah, I'm scared. 3, 2, 1, go. I already forgot what I was gonna do. Oh, this is gonna suck. Ah, man. I always just whoa. No, man. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that in. I always just make it barely above the minute threshold. Oh well, but yeah, this is a fun solve. Thanks for watching.